Now, when I start the recording, do I just call you Plum? Plume? Plum?
Yes, sure. Yeah, plum. Yeah.
Okay. When I start the recording with myself and Torellian and master teachers and Galactic Alliance people, it becomes telepathic. And it is right now, which means that even though my body's speaking, because I have to or I can't guide you from Earth to get out in space, it's the Atma that I am hovering above this body talking to you, the Atma you are. It's a pure form of communication with a beam of this golden white light in the pure hue. There's no negative thing that can get into this at all because this is the pure hue and negativity cannot enter it. No more than it can go across the void. Can't even enter there. Stays in the lower worlds. Okay. So it becomes that. I always want to make sure that everyone that I guide with friends from out of town, from off world, understands that implants cannot be removed on Earth. That's impossible. And I want to share with you why that's true. Otherwise, you may not understand it. This is part of the journey, so don't worry about it. It's part of preparation to get this done. Implants can't be removed on Earth by people on Earth because all the people on Earth are implanted. They have subconscious minds and fear they don't know they have that misdirects their decisions. So they make mistakes in judgment every single day. Political and religious leaders do. And you can see the condition of the planet because they're making decisions based on subconsciously influenced fear. Fear is negative and therefore destructive only. So I don't remove implants and I don't attempt to do that on the planet. We have to go out into the pure hue, out in space. That's that black area that people see in telescope images and Hubble images that people have seen online about galaxies and all that. And you notice that these galaxies made of billions of stars are these little teeny things floating in this vast black, supposedly emptiness. It's not. Physical eyes on Earth can only see a very limited spectrum of the entire huge bandwidth of light. So they see it as black because they don't have the faculties in human eyes to see it for what it is. When you're out of your body as the Atma, of course you see it as a white golden light everywhere. And all the little billions of galaxies float in it. They create these electromagnetic fields, these toroidal or zero-point energy fields, just like you do as an Atma. And they float in this other energy. Now, because you have a physical body made of matter on Earth, the DNA and the molecules that make it up are working at the same time rate, the same speed as that of the Earth. And gravity allows you to walk around the planet, and the planet turns on its axis. The electromagnetic field around the Earth is made of the hue itself. It's part of the vast field of light around us, but it forms around these objects and turns them so that they can float in this other energy. Atmas do the same thing. You are a spherical being, round. Planets and moons and suns and stars are round because beings that are round created them. And this means the source energy, what we call the ocean of sound and light, in the very center of it, which is very many dimensions above the void, beyond it, is spherical. So in the Emerald Doorway, we refer to that as the Ancient One. In modern times, Galactic Alliance referred to it as Prime Creator or Source. They don't call it the Ancient One anymore. So I wanted to bring people up to present time. They don't call it God, Sugmod, or any other names that people have come up with for it, because Prime Creator or Source is respectful. And all that Source requires of us is that we know it personally, go to it, return to it, respect it, and then all beings, all life, everywhere. This is why we do these journeys, to wake this up in people. Because people on Earth are not living this way. They don't remember how to live this way. And so they're making decisions that would eventually destroy all life on the planet. That's inevitable. The only thing that spares this Earth today from destroying all life here, they've done it before long ago, is working with beings who can come here, who are willing to intervene to a degree to help Earth people survive this industrial electronic age. Everything we're experiencing now, from computers to microscopic layered DNA molecular size chip technology, cell phones, it all came from extraterrestrials. It came from down craft that were either crashed or were given to people in secret and reverse engineered after World War II. Nobody on Earth invented this. This is ancient, ancient technology. Antigravitic ships that travel vastly beyond the speed of light work with that omnipresent energy out there, which people don't realize is divine spirit. They're praying to it. But it's actually that energy in space. It's not a void. It doesn't have oxygen, but it's packed full of energy. And scientists today, on Earth even, know that that energy is omnipresent. They know there are at least 11 higher dimensions. They can't get to them. They know that that energy is not atomic or nuclear. There's no molecules, no atoms. This is the most of the energy of creation. Little things like planets and galaxies and people float in it, but it's usually bigger than all that stuff. And so it is a co-creator with us. This means that when we use our imagination, which is really the ability for the Atma to see into the multiverse, look at other galaxies, look at other planets, look at higher dimensions, and then it creates or produces or manifests what we imagine in it. Imagination is not made up in the human brain. The brain does not imagine. They've got that so wrong on Earth, that's pathetic. Because there is no motion picture camera in a human brain that can project an image on some other brain cells and you can see things. It doesn't do that. That's not what it's for. You running that body is the one that does daydreaming during the day, imagines going to the store, and the body follows. But people on Earth are not taught anything about how to use higher faculties, how to see again into the multiverse they live in, to travel places, to gain experience, to go to other planets, to go to higher planes. They're just not taught it at all from birth. No religions teach it. No gurus I know of teach it. They teach things about the lower planes of time and space. And many people will pray to a god that is operating in the lower planes, but that's not the real source at all. So the real source never required that we worship it or pray to it. It requires that we experience it and know it directly, and that we respect that source because we are part of it and all life. One of the requirements of enlightenment, of freedom, is that we respect all life in the grand multidimensional creation. Of course, as an Atma awakened, we have the ability to do this because the Atma is made of the hue. It's made of the same thing as the source energy, identical in every way, on a smaller scale. It's round. It's like a teardrop of this pure consciousness, an individual like you, that is from an entire ocean of it. And we're individuals, but the source, what people call the supreme being, the real source, is not an individual. There's nobody sitting on a throne up there. That isn't how it works. And as long as people pray to and worship something they think they can never understand, it's too far beyond them, that's human brain thinking, then they're going to keep it so far away from them, receding from them, putting it on a pedestal. They can never reach it. Because the fact is, in order to go there, we have to be able to remember how to visualize what it's like there. That's why I share these journeys and describe for people telepathically. Basically, they're waking up and seeing it while I'm doing it. So that they can remember how to see the stuff they've been made to forget long before they were ever implanted and stuffed in a body on Earth. So the secondary implants are the first thing we get out of the way, so you can have volitional control over the primary implant until you're ready to have that gone too. At least you can turn it off and on after we're done. That's important. The more you become aware that you have this volitional control to do this, that's what this journey provides. Because when they're gone, depending on the individual, or how stubborn they are, your IQ, your intelligence is going to go way up. Your ability to understand the books, this work, travel to the other planes, it goes way up too. because the Atma is the thing that has the IQ, not the brain. The test on Earth for IQs is pretty much a joke. Because on other worlds, normal humans who are like 10 years old have the equivalent intelligence, an IQ of, we have 12 PhDs at 10 years old compared to an Earth person. I don't know of a single Earth person that has 10 PhDs on this planet. So the difference is so great. People on other worlds are so much more advanced and free from subconscious influences. They can't be compared to people on Earth at all. This is going to be quite a shock for people when they kindly come here, because it's not futuristic. They're already coming here. They've been coming here. There's 80 races coming here. It's been highly classified and kept from the public because of fear of leaders. And that's it. Now it's coming to a point where in the United States they're starting to disclose officially. They had a group of scientists they put together for NASA and a group of scientists for the National Security Association, NSA, and start interviewing these classified people that know firsthand that they recovered down craft and bodies and have been in contact with certain groups. They've reverse engineered stuff from extraterrestrial technology, and they're starting to admit this now. It's a beginning disclosure. It's not full disclosure. It's a good start. But because of the way fear is run in political leaders, classified people, they won't do it in time before they would annihilate this planet. Now, this is a fact. It's well known off-world. There's no question about it. So, certain leaders have been told that they need to disclose fully about their awareness of extraterrestrial life coming here and what it's really like, or it will be done for them without their help. Now, that would be very embarrassing for leaders, and that isn't what anybody wants. They're not coming here to encourage disclosure, to embarrass anyone or harm anyone. But fear, which is an artificially created emotion, isn't even a normal human emotion, has been implanted in people in a history they don't remember before they were born here. So they haven't got a chance of getting out of that on their own. So when we go out in space outside of Earth for this journey, for secondary implant removal, we do it because we're operating in a pure environment, in an energy that is non-nuclear, non-atomic. You don't feel heat or cold. You don't feel radiation from the sun. Those are all nuclear related or atomic related. And you're an Atma, your natural state. And you're up there being with beings who are in their natural state. Shantiel and Tonaltiel and Dantiam and Lamtiam, the two couples I've introduced to people so far here, they're like, from what I know, they're generally about 250 to 350 years old compared to an Earth human. They look to be about 36. And this is only because in the Galactic Alliance itself, the science of genetics has been well mastered. This just means that the billion genomes that make up, say, the twin-stranded DNA on Earth humans has what's called a telomere on each end. And when the cells divide, like damaged cells get excreted and new cells take their place, when they divide, the telomere shrinks. That's aging. In beings that have mastered this science, the telomeres do not shrink. They do not age. So they can live several thousand years or more if they wish to, in a form, but their age and growth, growing old, is much, much more gradual. And of course, they have photographic memories. They're telepathic, just like you are, only they're not unconscious about it. They're quite aware of it. They grow up from birth being taught what implants are to avoid subconscious things that are illegal. They know how to leave their bodies. These are the people that come here in ships. They know how to leave their bodies. Earth people are the ones in trouble, not them. So Earth people need to be free of these subconscious influences in order to remember how to do what they once knew how to do well. So this is about acquiring back or recalling or remembering what you were made to forget. And I don't mean just by implants, being caught and eaten or killed and stuffed in a body on Earth. That happened to me. It happened to everybody on this planet. All 8 billion. That's why you don't find any people out in the culture of this planet enlightened, running around setting people free. Because people are so frightened of truth, they'll fight you to the death to keep the way they are. And so they has to, that tight knot of subconscious fear has to be loosened gradually, and it has to be loosened with their cooperation. They have to have enough courage to step forward like you've shown, like you have, in order to be here right now. Even though you were implanted, you were able to do this. Perry was able to do that. Other people are able to do that. I was able to do it without any help from anybody on Earth, but I had help from others. And I didn't do it entirely on my own. Earth people are so shut down and unconscious of what they once knew, who they were, where they were before, where their destiny is. They need to get a little boost up in order to step forward and co-create again and set themselves free. So, what is required of people that are assisted in this way is that they get off their duff and do a little bit of homework, do a little bit of effort. Few every night before you go to sleep, you put the body into the trance state called sleep, and you leave it. Everybody on Earth leaves their bodies. They're not their bodies anyway. They just don't know it. They're terrified of getting out of their body, no matter how good a life they seem to have. So they grow old, they eat, they go to the store, they have kids, they grow old and die. No smarter than they were than when they were born. You can't utilize the intelligence of one body and one brain, one personality in one lifetime and call yourself brilliant. Because the brilliance, the genius, comes from the Atma. It's part of the hue, the omnipresent power. We go out and plug into that. So we plug into the omnipresent power. When we imagine something, or should I say correctly, when we see something visually that's somewhere out in space, planet Oceania, Norexilum, Zetronomy 1, Oceania, any of these planets, Zetronomon 1, any of these planets that I've introduced to people are a tiny fraction of the stuff that I've visited and stuff I would like to share with people. This is something people have the ability to understand when fear is not misdirecting their attention and focus. So secondary implants are not in the body. They are not a chip under the skin. That is a microscopic chip technology is developed on Earth, reverse engineering certain things, because classified people were tricked after World War II and to bring scientists here from Germany and to Russia that had little grays and other aliens attached to them because they weren't smarter. They were given an illegal science that's illegal for people to have on other worlds and on Earth because it's only destructive. So we did not develop nuclear bombs on this Earth from our own efforts. And this is important that people understand this. It was imported illegally to this planet. And the intent was to wipe out 3/4 of the population because 500 million is easy to control. That failed. It is now also true that little grays don't abduct people anymore. They're not even in our solar system. There's no reptilians in underground bases like some people are saying on the internet. That just puts out more fear, keeps everybody stuck. This is not true. We did not, meaning the classified people on Earth, did not send them away. They were trapped. They didn't know how to do it. This was done by the Galactic Alliance. They were removed and sent home. They weren't killed. So this is one step forward that they've done they've never done before. They got these tyrants out of our system and they patrol it and keep it free of any of influences like that. Unfortunately, the people of Earth have already been damaged in that they have these subconscious implants. That has to be undone. This is what we talk about, the hue expansion ray, or the new consciousness moving through the omnipresent hue, is going in one direction now through the cosmos. It doesn't go in two. It doesn't go up and down. It doesn't go backwards. It's not fickle. It's straightforward. So when it moves through you for your benefit, it's going to change you, but you're also co-creating this change. Make no mistake about it. You as an Atma, a goddess or a godly person from Source, are making this change. You're here because you're co-creating it. All I did was make myself aware or present on this planet and let people know that something's changing. And then spent decades, most of my life, just getting people started on the road to prepare them for what's coming. Because what's underway now cannot be reversed, fortunately, or we'd all be dead already. Nuclear war has been prevented on this planet quite a few times since World War II, but not by people on Earth. Now you need to understand this, or you're going to operate in fear. It means launch computers in the former Soviet Union, the United States, when they attempted this, were shut down from space. It is one of the most classified things. Governments don't want people to know that something from outside Earth could do that if they wanted to. They didn't intervene in governments or try to take anybody over. When their ships have been fired at, they don't retaliate. You'd think after 70 years, people on Earth would learn something from this. And they should have. But fear keeps them from learning anything. When offers were made to turn this planet around from outside, from our brothers and sisters and fellow beings out in the cosmos that happen to be far more advanced than we are, they were turned down by governments on this planet out of fear. Because one of the requirements would be people on Earth have to give up nuclear weapons and man-made radioactive isotopes that are imbalanced to recreate radiation to make bomb-grade ore, which kills people if it gets out of a lead-lined container. Nobody uses that in space. There's not going to be any Star Trek in the future with radioactive warp cores. That's science fiction, that's TV. It's nothing. It's fun, it's entertaining, but it's not the reality. You can't take a spaceship with rocket-propelled fuel out the back and get it up to any speed that would matter, even to explore our own solar system. It's too slow. You can't carry enough fuel or oxygen. It's a silly thing. So anti-gravitic propulsion is based on utilizing that zero-point or toroidal energy. People on Earth, most classified, know this now. They're using the energy in space in order to run that through their engines in order to create an electromagnetic field. And if you don't use that, respectfully, if you don't know what it is, it won't work with you. So our solar system is quarantined, but not by people on Earth. It's quarantined to protect us from blowing ourselves up, one, because we don't have the right to do that, and harm life in parallel and other dimensions. There are many interdimensional doorways under the water, on the land, or in the atmosphere of this planet. And they're in a grid pattern around the planet. Blowing this place up in nuclear war would harm hundreds of billions. Animals, plants, and life, and other realities. That is not going to be permitted. And it won't be permitted. Earth people do not have the right to do that, even out of ignorance. So fortunately, we haven't been able to blow ourselves up as hard as they've tried. What you're seeing on Earth today in wars is coming about because leaders from different companies are still basing their decisions on subconscious fear they don't know they have. And that's misdirecting their choices, all of them. So this is one of the reasons that this work is on the planet at this time and expanding. It's for the benefit of military, classified, governments, religious leaders, everyone, everything, including animals, because Atmas run animals too. This planet is so terribly backward. People on other worlds do not live like people on Earth do. They don't raise masses of animals and consume them. This is just backward. So this is a problem because people are compelled to do this over and over again because they don't respect Atmas. They don't respect the life of the Atmas running animals and plants and each other. They're destructive in nature. It's pretty sadistic, really. Not that they mean to be, but they can't help it. So I do not recommend that people be vegetarians. I happen to be, but I don't do that because I know that the programming, you can't force that. You can't get someone to change. They have to actually get free of some of these fears. And naturally, over time, this will just drop away from people. They get the wisdom of how to live and eat differently, and then the old ways just drop away. You can't force it. So you be natural about it. Take it easy on yourself. This isn't something that's part of this work to tell people to stop doing what they're doing, because they won't do it anyway. Not until they're different. So when you imagine someone you respect and love, you're grateful they're in your life, a person, place, or thing, it just needs to be something that when you see it, it makes you smile inside. That's all. So simple. It can be anyone or anything, a waterfall, a bird, a person, a master teacher, the source, Sat Nam, prime creator, the omnipresent you, anything, as long as it makes you smile inside. That opens a doorway in the pineal gland. The pineal gland, the center of the brain, is the mechanism you use to run that body. Human bodies do not run themselves. There is no automated computer system or fuel source for the body to run itself on its own. It is the Atma running the body through the pineal gland that gives it the energy it needs to get up and move, or it would drop dead on the spot, cease to function. So this is something else people have been made to forget. They talk about soul all day long and pray to this and pray to that, which is fine, but it doesn't give them the experience of understanding what it is, where it is, what it looks like, how to work with it in themselves, because they are soul, they are the Atma, and it's spherical. It's not like a human body. It's not like a transparent astral body. In fact, we aren't even designed, we aren't even in creation in the images of some creator that looks human. We're spherical. This also means that you had a hand in the beginning, in the source, before the lower worlds of time and space were made, in co-creating this mess we have on Earth. All of us have. Not just people on Earth, but people outside of Earth as well. And when they remember enough, people naturally become free, but there is equal amount of responsibility that goes with that freedom. It just means that when we imagine something, we should consciously do it for the benefit of ourselves and all life, and not just all life on Earth. That's not large enough. That's not embracing the greater God out there. All the other realities, all the dimensions, all the way through the planes, all the way into the upper worlds. We are designed, we function as beings who can comprehend that. The brain of one lifetime? No, not a chance. But you can bring that enlightenment as an Atma from these journeys to that life you have on Earth and raise its intelligence considerably and get it to cooperate, particularly meaning better for health, better for longevity, the secret to immortalizing a body and all those kinds of things is kept sacred in a way, because if people on Earth were immortalized right now, they'd destroy themselves. It's already overpopulated, 8 billion people, are you kidding? If they had immortalized bodies, no one would be kicking out of here. They're running around procreating to the degree, just like animals, they produce in massive numbers to kill, are being procreated at an unnatural level and rate. It is not sustainable. Everybody knows it. So something has to be done to fix this, and people on Earth are not awake enough to fix it. So that means they're going to have to be respectful, not worship, but be respectful of their fellows who are coming here and have come here, who can help change this place, who have the technology which is most ancient. Fix the atmosphere, fix the water, fix the telomeres, fix all of this. At some point, some of the people on this earth will be transported to other worlds where they're being prepared, even higher earths in higher parallel dimensions, to remove this problem of overpopulation. Normal worlds out there generally have about 500 million max. And they're usually bigger worlds than Earth. So there's no cramping. People don't live on top of each other. See, it's very different. So we go on the journey with this understanding because it will help you in what's about to happen. Imagine someone you love and respect, you're grateful they are in your life, just so it makes you smile. And then realize that when you daydream, and everybody on Earth does, everybody on Earth is like a master that's dumb as a brick. I mean, they know how to run a body, which is a complex process. But they weren't meant to be stuck unconscious believing they are one or stuck in one. That was never the game plan. It is unfortunately the way the old experiment, which I think is a failed experiment, it is, of good and evil, must be put away and replaced with the U expansion ray so that people can get free of this stuff and start to do what they were meant to do. That's our purpose for existing, which is to become trustworthy co-creators with the source behind all life. That's it. That is the answer. There's only one answer. That age-old mysterious question people have been trying to find for billions of years on other worlds is that. We're meant to go back to the source we came from and deliver our unique nature to it. Because each one of us has a little piece of a puzzle of a unique way of creating this whole thing better. Especially this lower universes of time and space are fixed and finished. Why would we ever think that was a great idea? I don't know, but we did. So, the silent mentors that run the mechanics of creation are also changing, fortunately, because they have to be involved to change anything, like the polar flipping of Earth's poles every 100,000 years, destroying all life. That would have already happened. That's permanently ended. That doesn't mean people are free on Earth. It means at least the planet won't be wiped out again, so people can evolve on it for millions of years, like other worlds do. So we have this great opportunity. When you imagine going to the store, it is you, the Atma, imagining that through the body and brain with your eyes open without the training. You just think your brain did it. You haven't been trained any other way. Why would you know any different? Why would anybody on Earth know any different? Well, they don't. They once did, but fear keeps them from recalling it, recovering it. Secondary implants contain torture, death, intimidation, will kill you, will eat you, whatever it is. But they are not your own experiences. They're artificially implanted. You didn't even experience them. That's sad. The primary implant that comes about later is your actual experience of torture, death, and ended up putting you in a body on Earth with no memory. It's not a fun thing. So a person has to be prepared for that one. And it is the individual you that actually determines when that occurs, not me, not the Galactic Alliance, not the Masters. They're just there to assist you when you're ready. And at that point, you'll be sitting in a white chair somewhere. There are a number of them. And then on the screens in front of you will be this projection. And you'll see what happened. Just like it happened for Mark Sanfield and Janet Carter in the Sayres Agenda book. Which is why it's in the book, by the way. I introduce Ambassador Torellian of the Sayres in that book as well. I met him in the way it's described. So, we become, I should say, I had to learn how to be a trusted friend and ally to him and respect him. I won't demand anything from these people, these beings. I would never attempt to control them or manipulate them for all the money in the universe. They are not manipulatable. They cannot be controlled. Not from anybody on Earth, that's for sure. But they can be respected, and we can co-create with them, and they can help us in wondrous, tremendous ways. So the secondary implants, remember I described this electromagnetic field around your body? The aura people think is this bunch of collars close to the body. That's not it. It's much bigger. It's around the body, and it looks like the one around the Earth. Identical. The one that's around you as an Atma is also identical to the one around the planet. Now you begin to understand this. You understand why the planet is round and has an electromagnetic field around it. because Atmas came first. Get it? Atmas came first. So, it is out in that field of energy that surrounds the body and that surrounds the Atma. There's a golden energy field around the outer layer of the Atma, but it's outside of that. Big field of energy outside of it. That's where implants are. And even when we go in space, which we're about to do, Shantial and Tonaltial are going to be working with you, man and a woman, one of two couples. There are many more. In fact, there are many more being assigned to each person that goes on these journeys in the groups, so they can help them work through this stuff every night when they're out of their bodies. But only if you ask. Only if you have the courage to put out some hue and not just sit idly in meditation, go hue, 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 and wait for things to happen. That won't work. You put out the hue and you ask for their assistance and you go to sleep without worrying about it. And then they'll help you. First thing is to be friends with them. Meet them. Don't put them on a pedestal. Don't worship them. They'll walk away from you if you do that. Respect them. They already respect you. That's all that's required, because respect is, in fact, divine love. Imagine being near the ceiling. Just daydream it. You do it all the time. Looking down on your body. You can see it sitting in that chair. There's an electromagnetic field around it, what we call the aura. It's made of the hue. Electromagnetic fields are the hue, in a form separate from the omnipresent hue itself, but it's made of the same thing. And you recognize when you look right and left, you can see two other spheres hovering beside you. And you can see a beautiful man and woman, body about 36, long hair to their shoulders. And they're just hovering in front of the body forms. They're made of pure energy. They're not physical matter or DNA. But they represent what their bodies look like that are on a ship that we're going to go out and meet them. So they need, even with their technology, they need to be out of their body, out in space, in the hue, and remove these implants in this way. This is something people don't get on Earth. It's important they understand this because it's so much more advanced and more awake than people on Earth can imagine. So secondary and primary implants are not removed on Earth by anyone. That's quite impossible. And not by me. So this is important to put this out for all of you so you'll be smarter, have more right discrimination, choose better. This is for the benefit of people even that think they can remove them, because the hue, the omnipresent power, will teach them better. I'm the best friend all these people really have on this planet. They don't know it, and I don't care if they know it. That's not why I'm doing it. When you imagine you're near the ceiling, you realize suddenly that you are this spherical being looking at this body, looks just like you. Perfect, beautiful woman, flawless, trim, about 36, standing there in front of yourself, looking back at yourself and looking at these two forms of Shantial and Tonaltial and the Atmas. And then you realize you're at 10,000 meters in the atmosphere, looking at them right up there during the day in Thailand. And you look down and you can see you are hovering above the body. They're up near the ceiling by where you're sitting. And you can see yourself there. And you're up in 10,000 meters. You're both places at the same moment. Because the Atma can do this. Human body and brain, no. Atma, yes. This is not new to you. Something you've known how to do well. But you haven't done this or been conscious of it for a very long time. As of right now, you are conscious of it. Shantial and Tonaltial are doing you a service. They're keeping the secondary and primary implants that normally cause you to be afraid turned off. They do it for the entire journey. They do it to keep the secondary implants from diverting you from even being here. So it's required that that's done outside the planet as well. But they're doing it right now. So as your body is in the sleep or trance state we call sleep, just like mine is, I've learned over many years how to speak through this body, how to utilize it when it's in the trance state, because I'm basically operating out in space, running it. This is something that is not so unusual and not new to you either. Not to Perry. It's just becoming more familiar to you again after a very long suppressive amnesia, let's put it that way. And then you find yourself in space, standing in a circle of beings around Ambassador Turellian. He's showing you an energy form that looks perfectly flawless, handsome, 36, 18 feet tall, is very tall. Because the Say rays aren't even from this galaxy. The planets they came from were much bigger than Earth. They have 12-stranded DNA, or they did. The 2-stranded DNA, 4-stranded DNA of people from the Galactic Alliance and others were developed. These body forms were developed through their experimentation several billions of years ago. Humans are very old. We have all these different races represented on Earth that never evolved on Earth. They came from the stars here one way or another over 65 million years since the big dinosaurs were deliberately made extinct. All that history is missing from you. It's your history. Where's the history for you for your Galactic Alliance lives out there and through the planes? Right now, as an Atma, you are running an astral body on the astral plane, a causal body in the causal plane, a mental body in the mental plane, and an etheric body in the etheric plane. Made of the molecules of higher time rates and a higher form of you in all those planes, still below the void. And it's important that at some point you remember this, because you're responsible for them. The mind doesn't come from your brain. It comes from the mental plane. Emotions don't come from the body and personality you have here. It comes from your astral form, where all matter is moved emotionally. The Atma knows this stuff. You're supposed to know this stuff. So the revelation of getting this telepathically across to people is deepening and expanding in these journeys. Perry's witnessing it just in the last few months because they're stepping up they need to step this up in order to prevent people from annihilating themselves on Earth. First, if this planet is going to become a spacefaring world, which it's preparing to do, they will not allow us to travel among the stars the way we are. And I do not blame them one bit. The quarantine around our solar system is put there to protect us from alien tyrants, which are being dealt with on their own worlds right now, in a good way. But it's also to protect them from us. The most dangerous race of beings out in the universe right now, because there is no war out there in the galaxy at all, is people from Earth. They're at each other's throats politically and religiously every day of the week. That cannot be allowed to go out and travel among the stars, and it won't be allowed to. So if we want to play among the stars, then we're going to have to, I don't want to say humble ourselves, but at least learn to be respectful of these other fellow beings who can turn this planet around in a wink, in a day. They're not going to force it on anyone. They're not tyrants. People on Earth are going to have to wake up enough from fear to ask for their help, and then they'll gladly be given it, and it won't cost anybody one penny. They don't use money. We have to, because that's how people are brainwashed for now. But it's not necessary. When you're in space and you think you're looking at black light, you realize really you're looking at a white golden light everywhere. And there's a humming sound to it like soft thunder that's uplifting. And it's behind and supporting the Earth and the moon with its polar ice caps, and the barren moon with no atmosphere. It circles the planet but doesn't turn on its axis. The sun, all the blue, green, and yellow and red stars out there, billions, are floating clearly visible in this other supportive energy. What people on Earth understand now is 0 point toroidal energy, or the energy of the universe. which is not nuclear or atomic, and it does not observe the laws of physics, which are related to matter, energy, space, and time. It is what is behind it, supporting it, and you are in the middle of it. More than that, Ambassador Trellian is holding up his two thumbs. Now he has this, I describe him to help people begin to visualize properly again, to remember how they used to see this way. He has these big blue eyes, slightly pointed ears, not like Spock, just slightly pointed. Long blonde hair to his shoulders, like a white gown on, some bare feet. 18 feet tall, but if you look above that form he's showing you, there's this beautiful spherical Atma. And you look up with this body you have out there that's made of pure energy, because it gives you this tactile sensation like eyes to see objectively what we're about to do with you, the Atma, the spherical you. Because implants aren't in that energy body, they're not in the one on Earth, they're out in that field of energy that you look through and get hoodwinked and tricked into running away from seeing again and knowing things. That's an implant. Diabolical, yes. Nasty, yes. Reversible, yes. And you realize that Shantiel and Tonaltiel, about 6 feet tall, are standing beside you. I'm standing a little further over the right. Perry's a little to the left. Master Ramu's towards the earth in a circle. Opelum's a little further away. Etta and Din, one of the dearest friends I have, other than my cat Starlight, who's now in the Atma plane with Satnam. These two I adore. They are Drens, 3 feet long, glowing tails, big bulbous blue eyes, cute little snouts. Then when their mouths are closed, they look like they're smiling. They have dexterous little hands and toes and fingers, 5, strongly built, just like a human, but they're not human. They're silica-based. Silica-based DNA, not carbon. They come from planet Oceania, where Opelum's world is, mostly water-covered. It's on the other side of the galaxy. We go to such places and further in the group journeys. But first, secondary implants, they need to be gone. You're going to see how diabolical they are in just a few moments. Shantiel and Tonaltiel are pointing out in space. You see a blue disc-shaped ship about 30 feet across, 3 semi-spheric pods on the bottom, half spherical, basically another way of putting it. And it's got a glassy top. It looks like what's on the front cover of the Secondary book. And you can see right through this blue-gray metallic hull because you're an Atma. You can see through matter. You're not matter. And you see 4 couples in that ship. Now, this is done for a purpose. It's specifically done for a purpose. There are 3 couples standing behind a semicircular control console. Little faceted, touch-sensitive crystal controls. They're working that, running the ship, while another couple is asleep, their heads to their chest, sitting in a lounge in the back. And then you realize, when you look to your left and right in space, with this pure energy human-looking form, they're standing beside you, which means they are not in their body. And they have to be out here with you. And you look above this physical form they're showing you, and there's a spherical being hovering there. They have to do it this way, which means they have to know what they are that is in the body in order to fix people. They can't stick you in a chair with a bunch of electronics and fix this, because it's not in your body or your brain. The equipment and such exists to do this. Say a building could be on Earth, but it's not on Earth yet, and people wouldn't allow it. Governments need to cooperate with this. At some point, they will. Why? Because it's for their benefit too, and their families. Lying is deceptive, dishonest, it's negative, and it creates harm and bad health and age in the people that are classified. Generals, presidents, religious leaders, it doesn't matter. The omnipresent Hue that they pray to is a co-creator with us. We are meant to know how to imagine properly, because we don't have the power as individual drops in an ocean to manifest what we imagine. It does that for us. And if we don't respect it, we're in serious trouble. And people on Earth don't, because they don't even know what it is. They pray to it, but they don't understand it. They are capable of understanding it, but not as a body and brain of a lifetime. It's a big difference when people begin to understand this. So now you look up and there's the Atma. That's you. And there's a big electromagnetic field around it. And in 3 places in a triangular pattern are these foot-wide oval lights connected together and running. Well, they're not running now. They just appear to be. Chantil and Tonatiel have turned them off. Because that's easy for them. Effortless for them. They know how to work with matter energy. They're not matter. They're the hue. They're masters of it. Easy for them. So you have this triangular pattern. One to the left, 2/3 of the way out in this electromagnetic field. Outside the outer layer of the Atma. Never in the Atma. Understand the Atma cannot be implanted or programmed. It can't be killed, destroyed, harmed, not even by a nuclear bomb. Nothing negative exists in the Atma. But the illusion can be put around the field around them through which you get terrorized not to look or know or else. And it's just a program. So you have these 3 secondary implants in a triangular pattern in the energy field connected that surrounds the Atma, not in it. There's one to the left 2/3 of the way out, one to the right 2/3 of the way out, and there's one towards you. In other words, the one to the left and right are on the back side of the Atma over there out in space. The one towards you is on this side. So it's a triangular pattern that surrounds the Atma. They're going to move you over to the one to the left. That means your physical appearing energy form, the Atma you are, is moving over there with them. And then Chantal is reaching in and just simply lifting this program out of your field of energy. Tonatiel is just smoothing it over with her hand. She's moving her hand to show you, but she doesn't have to move her hand to do it. Because it's the Atma above the energy form she's showing you that's doing it. Piece of cake, easy as pie, effortless. These beings do not have subconscious minds. They did not grow up on Earth. They were not born on Earth. They don't have implants. They are vastly more advanced in every way than people on Earth. And it's normal to them. They see what's happened to people on Earth. They know how trapped people are. But they must get people to individually cooperate to set themselves free. That's the first step. Because then when you are free, you keep it. And the wisdom from the hue expansion ray is added into your being from source so that you'll have the wisdom to never get trapped again. What's the point of doing any of this if all you're going to do is go screw it up and get trapped again? There's no point. So this is a one-way ticket. It cannot be reversed, fortunately. And then he's moving it up in front of your face so you can see it. And she's touching it and turning it on without the negative effect, mind you. Because behind this scene I'm to describe for you, this will wake up one of 3 things that are part of your actual past, not on Earth. And they're good experiences. There was no reptilians or implants in any of these lives. But they're being used against you. That's the problem. If by accident or some miracle you got shocked out of your body or had a near-death experience or something, and you happen to see these things, they would be so pleasing to you, you would never want to get rid of them. That's the problem, see? An implant is not kind or generous or giving you free will. It's designed to keep you from remembering who did it to you. They're cowards. And they're more terror and fear than you are. So, when you look into it and it begins to turn on, you begin to see a scene. And you see a series of 12 fountains. They're like the one I've described before. They're a white alabaster fountain in a circle. But the water that's being shot up in them, like a fountain you'd seen apart, is luminous. And each fountain has a different color of water. Because the water on this planet and most planets is heavily charged with the hue. the omnipresent energy, the zero point, the energy of the universe. Earth's oceans are depleted. Surprised anybody can even walk, much less breathe anymore on this planet. It's the Atma that's keeping that going, or everybody would already die. So the oceans near the equator have a little more charge in them back on Earth, but not much. That's why people feel a little better in Hawaii or something like that. But on a normal world, the water actually glows in the ocean a foot above the waves, a foot above outside of waterfalls. These 12 fountains are in these white marble floors in a pattern of 12 in a circle. And so kids are playing around in the middle of it, and you're about 10, and you're a girl, and you're running around. You have, let's describe you a little bit, kind of a golden blonde hair down to your shoulders. You have kind of a yellow eyes. Very pretty, but not like eyes on Earth. A little bigger than people on Earth. They see better. And you can see the hue that's forming the aura or energy emission around this H2O on this planet. And so they're playing in the middle of these fountains because these 12 colors are harmonizing them and keeping their bodies not only healthy while they grow up, but accelerating their growth. When babies are born on this world, they grow to an adult in 6 months because the Atma is running it. They don't have time to fool around with that long 20-year journey like people on Earth. So here you are amongst a bunch of kids, call it a classroom. And when you look out in the distance, you can see this violet green forest. They look like fir trees, but they're bushier. And there are little pathways from a central white marble floor that leads straight to each one of these fountains. And the children are running up to one call or another they like and putting their hand in it and drinking it. And then you notice a little charge you can see through their bodies, and it's flowing down into them. There are higher forms of DNA humans from other parts, even in the physical universe in our galaxy. That when they eat food, they have organs that turn it into light. They're different than people on Earth. What happened to people on Earth was a tragedy. It's a two-stranded DNA where people have to do what they do to eat and go to the bathroom and all that. Yeah, that happens in other worlds, but it's not the most evolved form of human being. So you're looking at this and you realize that you're looking out in space. The suns are behind you. There are 3. But when you're looking out towards the ocean, you can see up there's 3 other worlds around this planet you're on. They're the size of Earth, and they got dome cities. There's no polar ice caps. They're at different distances, and you're kind of moving across the sky because this planet's turning on its axis. So this was the life you had. It's not my life, it was yours. Now, this is the thing. You don't want that there. You will not lose the memory of the life. That's stored in one of the teardrops of the Atma. They've used this energy out here and put behind it a holographic machinery kind of thing, energy that's like death, torture, will kill you, will eat you, don't wake this up, don't look at this. So if you even saw it, you'd feel this play in your nervous system back on Earth, and you'd go watch a movie, you'd turn away, and you wouldn't wake up. You wouldn't grow, you wouldn't change. That's the problem. So tonal tial is simply sending out a tone of the hue. And you can see she's using her mouth, but you can see a beam of energy come from the Atma, and it just disintegrates it into white light. It becomes a white golden light and merges into the light that surrounds us, and it is gone. Now, it's a conscious thing. It's not subconscious anymore. And we move over around to the other side, out in space, to the other side of the electromagnetic field around your body. And this time, tonal tial is reaching in and pulling this white oval sphere about a foot wide out of you, out of the energy field that surrounds the Atma. And she's holding it up in front of your face, and then Chantial's just pointing at it. And they're starting to laugh a little bit, chuckle, because when they release energy like this has been stuck, it's very uplifting to them, and they have a ball doing it. They know it's beneficial to you, of course. Remember, these beings do this without effort. Like childlike wonder, it's effortless to them. And when you look into it, you begin to see something else. You are swimming on the bottom of an ocean. Out in the ocean, and in a blue-skinned body, pale blue, little webs between your fingers, so obviously at one point you were an Oceanian person. There were millions, I mean, there's many there now. And you didn't have any problem breathing underwater. There's a second set of eyelids that closes down that are transparent over your eyelids. And you're just swimming, and you come and walk up to this oval energy field in one of these big dome cities, and you walk right through it. And you're inside kind of an airlock on the other side of it. And you touch a control, and the water empties out of this chamber and seals. A door closes on the other side, and you walk inside this city. And on the other side, you're in like a bathing suit, and on the other side, there's other people coming out of other doorways that have been in the ocean. It's like daily exercise. And in the distance, you can see three giant pyramids in this city. It's one of many cities like this throughout the Milky Way galaxy, on many worlds. This science, this technology of these domes was built by the Oceanians and was implemented in the Galactic Alliance when they helped sponsor its beginning. So this is another world and another time. This one is over on the other side of the galaxy. There are many worlds like Oceania, not just one. In other words, Master Pelham and Dom and other people also have a jurisdiction over a number of other worlds, including the 3 that are the size of Earth that have life on them that circle the bigger planet. So the problem, of course, is this is a great experience. Why would you want to get rid of it? Well, you wouldn't. That's the problem. It should be a memory for you. It should not be something that's hidden with destruction, terror, and torture and intimidation. It shouldn't be in your electromagnetic field at all. Tontial is now bringing this to you and placing it in your hands. You're seeing it. It's your own experience. And then she asked you to send the hue into it. Now this comes from the Atma, and through your mouth, this energy form, and then they just add their little bit of energy to it, and it disintegrates and becomes part of the white golden light around us. That's 2. Then we have one that's in the front towards Ambassador Terrellian of your field. And they're moving around, turning you around so you can look at it. There's one more. This time, what they've been doing in recent days out here, they'll place their hand, one of his hands, one of hers, under both of your hands, and have you move your hands under it and bring it out yourself, out of your own field. And then they turn it on, and you look into it. Inside it, these third ones seem to always be, at least in recent times with different people, an experience with some type of beautiful, loving animal. They don't call fellow creatures animals on these planets. They don't eat them. And there's a reason. Because on more advanced worlds, even in the physical universe, and because of genetically advanced science, these animals have vocal cords. There's an Atma hovering above what looks to be like, well, you're by a body of water. It's kind of a blue-green water. And there's a thing that comes up, looks kind of like a dolphin. And it kind of walks up on its fins on the land and puts its little nose and nuzzles you under your chin. You're squatting down beside it, giving it a pet, and then it doesn't squeak. It talks with you. You're speaking with it. This is a beloved fellow being. You notice there's an Atma hovering above it, running it, because you're one running the body that's doing this. And then another 3 or 4 come up on shore and surround you. And it's a kind of a golden sand. And this is a common experience for you. And you're about 20, maybe, I don't know, maybe 1,000 years old. Maybe 800, something like that. Because on those worlds, people don't age like they do on Earth. And since they're not stuck in bodies, it's not boring. So this is a great experience. Nothing in it that's bad. Obviously, this is a world in the Galactic Alliance. You're not wearing a uniform, you're wearing kind of like a bathing suit. And so, you can imagine what you look like. You don't want that there. Not because it isn't a good experience, because it is, but because it's going to be a memory now, not subconscious. And the influence behind it is going to be gone. So at this point, they ask you to send the hue into it yourself. And then you realize, like them, that you have mastery over this thing, because fear is not interfering. And that hue disintegrates it back into the white golden light around you. Turn to Shantial and Tonaltial and thank them. They're already giggling and laughing and jumping up and down like kids. They just find this thrilling. It's fun for them. And then Torellian, who's still got his 2 thumbs up, and there's a golden energy around them. Right? There's a reason for that. If you look out high above him, above Etendin, Satnam is standing up there. There's a vortex doing the higher worlds above the void above him. He's observing things. And so the energy is coming down through this opening, through him, through Torellian, through his hands. It's putting a field of energy around us and a number of other master teachers I did not describe that is putting a higher form of the hue from source around us than the hue that's in our atmosphere. Because you're being plugged into that. And that means from now on, your journey, your destiny becomes one of onward and upward. It cannot be reversed, fortunately. So when you're back on Earth, you find yourself hovering above, near the ceiling. Shantial and Tonaltial are still there. I'm there, but I'm with the Atma still in space speaking with you. And then you realize this white golden light's coming down through you, through Shantial and Tonaltial, through the spheres they are like you are, through the forms that look human, down through the body, and through that electromagnetic field that surrounds your body. They're clear. Secondary implants are gone. They're not there. Then it's moving out to 3 pyramids on Earth. We've described those before. It's going out to 1 between 2 stable asteroids orbiting in the asteroid field, in the orbit of what was a planet that circles between Mars and Jupiter. And it's going out to the center of the Milky Way galaxy and up the white golden shaft of light. It never stops. It's the omnipresent hue expansion ray. It's only moving in one direction, and you're now co-creating with it everything that's starting to happen. It's important to know this. And then when you're comfortable, open your eyes. That, my dear, is a secondary implant removal experience. It's a journey, but it's also an experience. But you're going to find, if you do your little homework every night before you go to bed and ask these beings to help you, put out the hue to them, thank them, be grateful. Don't worship them. Make friends. Be friendly, respect them. They already respect you. And then go to sleep without giving it another thought. If you want to try to remember more when you come back in the morning, because old habits keep you from doing that, when you go to sleep after you've done this, remember to tell yourself you will only open one physical eye in the morning when you first wake up. Because we're bipolar beings, that opens us to the physical energy and shuts off the memory. You become the earth person. So if you only open one eye, and then you play back where you just came from, because if you do that, you're going to be remembering where you were. It takes a little discipline and work, but then when you bring it through, you play back where you just remembered, then you open your other eye, and you won't forget it. It's brought back to the earth person. It's put out in the electromagnetic field that surrounds you in the aura. It's not an implant. It's nothing negative. Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
every Master Being and Perry.
ให้พี่ลงสาธารณะปะคะเนี่ย
Onward and upward.
Sure ได้ค่ะ
Okay, this will be sent to you. I mean, Perry will send you the recording, and then in a couple of days, get a cup of tea, turn off your phone, play it back, go on it again. You're going to find a lot more happened than you remember now. But you're also going to find that you're able to comprehend it like you've always known it. And if you listen to this telepathically, then your experience will be like quite good.
We can put this video
Okay.
on YouTube.
Okay, then I will bring this recording to a close.